Hello, Zero AD community. So yeah, 1v1 today. I remember this being a very interesting game that I played recently against tonyfurg. It went a bit long, about 36 minutes. And yeah, one thing I remember very clearly was tonyfurg insisting on a normal-sized map for a 1v1. And I was like, do we have to? But I was like, alright, whatever. And, you know, it turned out to be really fucking fun that way. So, no farmstead, just straight to the berries with 6 women right off the bat. And we're clearing out, we being tonyfurg, are clearing out the nearby trees around the beautiful Han Civic Center, grabbing the chickens. I am doing very much the same, but instead there's 4 women, and I do have the berry upgrade. What I have been doing lately is, it's just like a little thing that I do out of convenience, because there's a lot of spare time at the very beginning of the game when you don't have a lot of units, not a lot going on. I assign 1 woman to each bush, so that they all kind of run out at the same time. So I have a line of houses up to kind of protect my territory as these last few units finish up with the nearby wood. They're going to move over to the wood line. I always, once there's at least 1 unit on each tree, I shift click the storehouse for their next assignment. So as soon as they're done with those trees, they move right over to that storehouse. I'm grabbing the wood cutting upgrade. As soon as I finish with the berries, I immediately get 20 women onto 4 farms as soon as possible. And I always like to have the original farming upgrade as soon, like, already researched before the berries are right. Ideally, right as the berries are disposed of, right as the berries are depleted, that's when the farming upgrade pops into effect. I now have my 5th farm being built, and my barracks is going up. And yeah, by the end of phase 1, I start out with 4 farms right away, and then over the course of the next couple minutes, between the 4 initial farms and going up to phase 2, in that window of time, I build 2 more farms out generally. So you'll probably see 1 more farm pop up shortly. I have my barracks built. I always build my barracks by my initial wood line. In order to have the archers that I train out of that barracks, in order to send them to that wood line. And at some point soon, I'm probably going to I noticed I was a bit low on wood, so I began sending the archers from the Civic Center to the wood line. But oftentimes, just depending on how things go, if I'm pretty balanced in terms of food and wood, I'll start the archers from the Civic Center going straight to the metal mine. But yeah, like I was saying, that's my 6th, well, it should be my 6th farm. Right now I have 5 idle women, but soon I'm going to lay one more farm down, which will probably be my last field for phase 2, for phase 1. And, yeah, or actually, I guess I had the requisite food and wood to get to phase 2 before building the 6th farm. So I actually ended up phasing up a little bit earlier in this game than I normally do. Usually by the time I get to phase 2, I already have a few archers on metal. But let's see what our friend tonyfurg is doing. So yeah, it's very interesting. I think I tried playing as the Han against AI like once or twice when Alpha 26 came out. But, yeah, okay, so it looks like, my cav is being chased. I sent him exploring, and, it's interesting. The Han are, I believe, the only civ that start out with cavalry swordsmen. And, yeah, he's trying to chase down my cav, but it will take him a very long time to, be able to kill him, because that cav is on, is automatically exploring all around the map. I think I have him heading back to the Civ Center now, so if he wanders into my territory with that cav, he's going to lose it. So, he's getting his first metal upgrade right now, but he does not actually have anyone on metal yet. Interestingly, okay, he does have his first barracks, but he's going up to phase 2, and he does not have any units being built out of the barracks. Now he does. Now he has 5, spearmen coming out, but there was some idle time for a moment there. It's interesting. He has 10 crossbowmen, up on this wood line, and he has the rest of his units on this wood line in the south. Normally, I like to keep all of my units actually concentrated onto, all of my wood gathering units concentrated onto a single wood line, just in case of an attack. So yeah, he's doing very good with managing his resources. They're, the food and wood are, very close to each other, which means he's not building up an unnecessary surplus of either one. And we are very much tied neck and neck in terms of population. He has his market going up. Very good spot to put the market. Far back, away from any danger, because the market is not a building you ever want to lose under any circumstances, especially in, you know, the potential emergency situation where you might lose your Civ Center and need to rebuild one. Well, I had this fucking earbud in this whole time, and fucking everything sounded weird, and I was like wondering why. Anyway, let's see, he has his first forge going up. So that's his second phase 2 building other than the barracks. It's interesting, he has just this single storehouse, and there's a lot of, his units are walking like a relatively long distance in order to drop off the wood, but he does have the baskets upgrade, which allows them to carry a more significant load on each trip. So he's not paying for this distance as much as he would be if he didn't have that upgrade. Okay, he's building his second forge now so that he can get 2 upgrades at a time if he so chooses. And he has a pretty decent amount of units on the mineral resources. Interesting, he has 10 rice paddies for phase 2, and I believe they can hold 3 women each. So yeah, he has them all fully populated, 3 women on each rice paddy. and he is currently getting water weeding, which I believe is the second farming upgrade for the Han. And he already has his second wood upgrade and both of the first mineral upgrades. So he's doing really good in terms of eco, but I have pulled ahead of him in population, which is interesting because I only have 1 barracks, 1 Nova village, and my civic center. I do have 19 more women than him, so that partially explains the discrepancy in population. Unfortunately, I meant to expand my farming operation, but I think I left the civic center producing 4 women at a time by mistake. So a lot of them were idle, and not until just now did I build the extra farms necessary to keep them busy. So there's 63 of them and 13 farms, so that is the correct amount. My Nova village is unfortunately not producing any units currently. I moved a lot of my units from, so my build order in general is a little bit wonky in this game. I did a few things differently than I would normally do. I think honestly, part of the problem was, part of it was just now having that surplus of women, but I think I went up to phase 2 a little bit earlier than I normally would have. Normally I have a bit of a surplus of metal by the time I get to phase 2. So I'm able to continuously build these macemen and these skirmishers, usually 2 at a time lately. He has caught up to me in terms of population. He actually has 10 more infantry than I do. Most of my population lead is women. I'm only 5 ahead of him. So because this is a, not medium, but a normal size map, which is a really big map for a 1v1, it's pretty necessary to, resources become, you know, it's just different playing in a larger size map. There are a lot more things like metal mines and stone mines. There are way more of them throughout the map, so there are more opportunities to gather that metal, and therefore more opportunities to, for instance, train champions, mercenaries, etc. Build elephants. Those cost metal. So yeah, I have built my first expansion. I'm probably going to need to end up building more because, you know, just being able to, he's made it to phase 3 now, so he is ahead of me in terms of that, but I'm about 20 pop ahead of him. I'm so congested. I'm sorry for that, guys. I must sound like shit right now. I'm tired too. So, yeah, so it's, the thing with such a big map is, like, there might be a temptation to build your other civic center, like, kind of far away from the first one. I know for me there is, because I want to get, you know, those phase 3 buildings, like the fortress, etc. I want to get those, like, close to the front line so I can kind of bring the battle to his doorstep, and so that, you know, I have buildings to reinforce from, and I have buildings for my units to hide in, close to the front line. But it's really important to, kind of keep everything concentrated, you know, and just work your way over there slowly. The good thing about using Cav in the late game is they can cover this distance in like a minuscule amount of time. Even though it's a long way for them to go, Cav are like super fast, especially when you get the horse racing upgrade, which increases their walk speed. Walk speed. I wonder if that if that's different from run speed. Like when you tell them to attack, don't they run, which is like a different speed than, I don't fucking know, honestly. But yeah, I have my mercenaries building out all these stables, and I'm training them one at a time. And I've been very much keeping on top of my houses in this game. Okay, so I think that's really unfortunate. I think he might think it's a 200 max pop game, but I could be wrong about that because he did host it. He hosted it, so... Plus, like, the fact that his preference is to play on such a large map, I feel like he wouldn't be used to, playing a 200 pop game. Like, I feel like, a larger map definitely necessitates higher population. Yeah, that was a waste of resources. I started to build a civic center over here because it would have netted me all of these metal mines. But I decided it was just too, you know, I wanted to focus more on building towards his base. So that I could, you know, build things like a fort and, like I was talking about earlier, buildings that I could effectively attack from. And if I had built a civic center out here, I probably would have still had to build another one in this area. And I just didn't want to spread myself too thin. So I decided to, I guess, instead build a temple here to net myself this metal. Overall, I was kind of disappointed with the metal that I had access to. I had this one, and then I built this civic center, which kind of got me these 3. I guess it's not terrible, honestly. And now I have this 4th one. Okay, so for some reason he's sending a group of 11 cavalry swordsmen, and he, I think maybe accidentally just sent them right into the middle of all of my infantry. And he hit the reverse on that. Excuse me, I think as soon as he realized what he did. I think he only lost 1 cavalry there, though. It says he lost 3 total. I don't know if... Oh, okay. Yeah, he lost 3 there. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't quite know why he did that. So, now I have this temple, and I fully populated this metal mine, and, yeah, all of my woodcutters, are gathered in, this one spot as close to what will be a front line as I could possibly get them. But now I'm building my 3rd civic center out towards the center of the map, and I'm trying to, generally speaking, I like to keep like a very consistent chain of buildings between all of my civic centers. I don't like building a civic center just out in the middle of nowhere, because if it gets taken, then any buildings that I built around it, I'm going to lose them if they're not, you know, connected in some way to everything else. So that, for that reason, I decided to build some extra temples. And I think I'm also going to end up using those temples during this game. Because it's a larger map with more metal, like I was saying, there is more of an opportunity to train champions. So, yeah, for some reason, he really slowed down in terms of population growth at a certain point in this game. And he, for whatever reason, he hasn't expanded at all. He hasn't built himself a second civic center. The closest thing to an expansion that he has is this fortress here. He has already completely gone through all of the metal in his initial territory. He has access to this metal mine here, and he is taking advantage of it, but one mistake that he's making is, especially on a map like this, but really even on a small map, by phase 3, you really shouldn't have only 20, or you shouldn't have only 24 units on metal. You know, by the late game, you should be treating mineral resources almost with the same, you should almost have as many people on metal and stone as you have on wood. If not more in the late game, because, you know, a lot of the time you'll build up a surplus of wood. So, like, for instance, I have, this metal mine is full of people. This metal mine is full. I've already depleted the first one, but hopefully I send them to another metal mine. But yeah, so what I have here is these guys, I put them on here, but I didn't see this one, but I did, I shift clicked to tell them to, you know, add to their queue, build a storehouse, and then get this metal mine when they finish with this one. So, especially in a larger map, like, one of the biggest keys to winning is controlling the metal throughout the map. Yeah, I have, I did the same thing over here. I have 24 units on this metal mine, and as soon as they're finished, I already queued them up to get this metal. So right now, yeah, I have a huge surplus of both food and I have a surplus of wood as well, not the same degree. Alright, so it looks like the battle is starting. He has a hero here. Thumbnail time. Alright, so I realized that, so basically, like, I only saw, like, a few of his units near the front line. I think it was just his hero to start out, kind of just came, like, flying out across the front line, so I sent my mercenaries and my own hero to just take out that hero. But, now I'm sending my full army. I'm sending pretty much everybody that I had on wood to fight this battle. He did, when I was fighting with only my mercenaries there for a minute before my other units caught up, he managed to, get more kills than me, but yeah, he's still getting more kills than me. I really don't want to fight this battle in the range of his fortress, because those arrows that fly out of there are absolutely fucking lethal, and yeah, I'm really letting my infantry get murked by those arrows right now. This is not a good engagement on my part. Luckily, I do have will to fight, and that came from getting all of that metal and really taking advantage of all of the resources throughout the map. not only was I able to get all of the upgrades from the forge, I just got the last two, but I also got will to fight. So as those infantry were being taken out, I had cavalry queued up, sword cavalry to be specific. But yeah, I'm really letting my units get murked by allowing him to, like, dictate the terms of the battle. And now yeah, very stupid of me. So yeah, everything up to the point where we started fighting, I was insanely, ahead of him in terms of control of the map, in terms of getting to 300 pop. I got to 300 pop, like, literally, like, a full 10 minutes before him, almost. But once the battle started, I guess, like, part of it is overconfidence. I guess I knew I was doing well in so many aspects, so I kind of just, figured, oh, I can fight him right in the shadow of this gigantic fortress, and this defense tower that's simultaneously pummeling my troops with arrows. But, yeah, I did something that I don't normally do, which is, I built a wonder, which, once I researched okay, I already researched it, so now my max pop is 330. But yeah, I did something I don't normally do, which is, in addition to building cavalry, I'm also training champions from the temples that I built. And I'm able to do this because there's so much metal on this map that I have access to, and that I specifically made sure that I had control over. So he has a lot of spearmen. And my cav can't fight the spearmen pretty much at all. Especially because I have all sword cav. I don't have any skirmisher cav. So the champions, the champion macemen, I think they're macemen. I think they might be swordsmen. They have axes. They're able to fight the units that the sword cav aren't able to take on. So he's still ahead of me in terms of kill death, but now that I have these superior units like the 17 champions and a very large contingent of sword cav, I felt a little bit more confident to fight him even amidst all of these towers and fortresses. Definitely not the smartest way to battle. Also, I don't know why they got into this formation. It was a total accident, and I'm letting them get murked because I fucking put them in that stupid formation. So at this point, I lost a lot of my champions and a couple of my cav, and the ones that I do have left, are very low on health, so I really need to get them back to these temples and get them healed up. Very important. But for every unit that I lose, I'm keeping fully reinforced. I have so much surplus food and wood and even metal, so I'm able to continuously, I also got a lot more stone than I normally would in order to build all of these extra temples and the wonder, etc. So, yeah, I'm able to, not only am I able to train cav from the stables, which are much further away, which doesn't matter because the cav can get to the front line so fast, I also have the temples all very close to the front line, which are able to train the much more slower moving champions, and as they pop out, they're able to basically meet the cav about at the same time on the front line. So right now I have retreated, and I'm healing up my units. Once again, this ridiculous formation. This one, okay, I guess this one's not so bad. But, yeah, I'm getting all of my units together to try another attack. one thing, it's a mistake that I really always make is I almost never build siege or elephant stables. And in a game like this where he is kind of on the defensive, like he has not shown any indication that he's going to be the one coming to me. And because of that, siege and elephants, and or ideally both, would be so important and so helpful in this game. But instead I'm using infantry and cav to deal with towers and forts, etc. He has a very turtling defensive strategy. He builds lots of forts, but he could have still turtled and, you know, built another civic center, you know, to take advantage of some of the metal throughout this map. I took down his siege towers. He seems to have a catapult, but it's not doing much. He's still, he's killed way more units than I have. But I'm just reinforcing so much faster because I have a handle on resources more so than him. At some point soon, he's going to run out of metal. Whereas I still have, populated metal mines somewhere, I think. Maybe, maybe not. But I already took advantage of so much of the metal throughout the map that I was able to put it to use in terms of, upgrades, champions, etc. So he took me down to 240 or so, and within 10 seconds I'm already back up to 280. And there's just this continuous flow of both champions being produced 2 at a time from the temples, both types of champions, just the champions from the smaller temples, along with cav, all being sent to the front line. And one thing that I do is I set in settings you can set the wounded unit. So when you hold O, and when you hold O and make a box, you can select only your wounded units. And the default for the wounded unit health is very low. But what I do is I set the wounded unit health to about 50-60%. Probably about 50%, I think. So that way when I select all of my wounded units by holding O and dragging across all of my units, it selects all of the units which are below 50% health. And what I do, especially when I have a lot of temples like this, which is an ideal strategy, is I basically grab all of the units that are about 50% health or below, and it sends them back to the temples. So, so I can keep fighting with the units that have higher health, but send the wounded ones back to heal. And, like you just saw when all of those cav jumped out of the temples at once, I had a lot of wounded units that were able to all heal up. And he's down to 191. He still has metal, which is interesting. I don't think he's really utilizing it. He still has a few upgrades that he could be getting. One mistake that I did make that, luckily this game's almost over. But yeah, I don't have enough units gathering wood. I think ideally I should have, especially with a total of 320, I should have about 40 units gathering wood, but I don't think I have anyone gathering wood because I had such a large surplus that it was able to carry me up until this point. Let's see, my wood is going up, so I do have somebody cutting wood somewhere, but it's going up relatively slowly. So if he was reinforcing at the same rate I was, if I was up against a more effective player, I would be pretty screwed at this point because I only have about 1,000 wood. And if my units were still dying at a hefty rate, at this point, I would be losing right now because I do not have the proper amount of units gathering wood. And he resigned. So yeah, that was a fun game. Let me know if you have any thoughts about it in the comments. I think it's really just a lesson on why it's important why territory control, map control is really important in terms of just resources and controlling as much of the metal as you can on the map and having a large amount of units mining. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to see more videos. And sayonara.